It's the Record Collectors 7 to 9. By the way, I'm Chris Savory. This is Mike Adams.
This is the Record Collectors with the gruesome twosome Mike Adams and Chris Savory.
Our special guest tonight is former member of the Drifters and founder member of the Shadows, Jet Harris. Welcome to the program, Jet.
Thank you very much.
Now, Chris and I are very big fans of Shadows music. And you were there at the very beginning of British popular music. Can you tell me how the original group formed, the true story, how you got involved with the group?
With the Shadows, you mean?
Yes, the Drifters, that's it.
Well, it's Drifters, yeah. Well, there was a big package show going around the cinemas. We used to play cinemas in those days. And I was with a band called the Most Brothers, which is Mickey Most.
Right.
And his so-called brother Alex Most. And on the show, there was this new singer in a pink jacket called Cliff Richard, you see, whom no one had heard of. But he'd heard of me because I was the only bass guitarist in England, you see, at the time. I was the first man to play it over here.
Because they're all stand-up basses, weren't
That's
they?
right.
Like Bill Haley's band.
Well, it was Tony Crombie that put me onto this. He said there's a new... I was working with Crombie at the time for Wee Willie. We were back in Wee Willie. And Crombie said, have you seen this new invention? I said, no, what's that? He said, it's called a bass guitar. He said, I want you to get one. So I got... Because I was a staunch jazz man, you know, a modern jazz player on string bass. Anyway, I bought this thing, and I thought you had to lay down and play it, you know, I didn't know. And it made my thumb sore, too, until I found out about plectrums, you know. And, anyway, what started this off? I've forgotten where we were now.
The very, very beginning, how you got involved with...
Well, anyway, Cliff said,
that's
right, I've got it. He says, hello, he says, you're Jet Harris, aren't you? I said, that's right. He said, I've heard a lot about you and this bass guitar. And he offered me a job. And I sort of hummed and hawed and thought about it on this 3-week tour, you know, and suddenly his record shot in at number 19, you know. So I thought to myself, get in there, Jet, you know. So I said, yeah, listen, I'll take that.
This will be Move It.
Let's Move It, yeah. I said, I'll join you, yeah. And of course it went on from there, you know.
It was all, I mean, for us, teenagers in that era, it was all very, very fast. I mean, it seemed something suddenly happened so quick. What it was like for you, I mean, the effect you were having on British youth, and I mean, it was like a revolution, wasn't it?
Well, it's the effect that actual song Move It had on me personally. I thought it was the best thing that ever came out. Well, it was the best thing around at the time. I mean, it was.
I would just say that, I mean, the Move It, when those days we were swamped with American records and the original records, Move It was probably one of the best British recordings made throughout if not the best in the 50s, in many people's opinion.
You've got it.
It was a really classic rocker. I mean, frankly, it would be any of the world's great rockers at that time would be proud to have had that as their hit single, wouldn't they?
Well, Cliff actually changed the whole thing, didn't he? I mean, before, you must remember, before Move It, there were things like Tommy Steele and Rock with the Caveman, you know, I mean, okay, it was good then, but when that movie came out, it sounded American, really, didn't it? I mean...
Oh, yeah.
But more so, it had something different.
To go on to the actual Drifters, and then they became the Shadows, how did the name the Drifters first come up, and then you obviously had to change to the Shadows? How did the two names come up?
Well, the Drifters was nothing to do with me. I mean, that was before I joined them, you see. But we had this injunction from the American Drifters, court injunction, you know, change your name or else. So we had to change it now. And we used to drive Lambrettas in those days. And Hank and I shot off to the countryside one day to a pub, and we were drinking draft Guinness there and trying to work out a new name. We went through your Zephyrs, your Zodiacs, your Phantoms and all, and I suddenly said Shadows, and old Hank's eyes lit up. He said, I think that's it. So we fled all the way back to London and said, Cliff, we've got the name. He said, give it to me. I said, Shadows. He said, that's it. And he liked it, and that's it. It stuck, you know.
We know quite a bit, obviously, about your early recording career, but something I'd be very interested in is, was there a lot of stuff you did record at that time that has never been released at all, in any shape or form?
Well, the only stuff I know of is Tony Meehan and I were compiling an album before I had a nasty car crash, you know, with Billy Davis.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've been on to Decca since, but it's all got lost. It was all in the can, but no one can find it.
Could you remember any of the titles at the time?
Well, I could sing in those days a bit, you know, and I remember doing Long Tall Sally, I think, or Boney Maroney or something.
At the sessions of Saturday Dance and Feeling Fine, those sessions here, were there anything? How many takes did it take to actually put those in the can? Can you remember those first sessions you did?
Well, this was all sort of, it was all 4-track then, you know that, don't you?
Yeah.
And I suppose we were a bit greedy. It took a lot of time. I can tell you exactly. We did a thing called Jet Black.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know that? It's so simple, but we did 95 takes on that thing. And there's one worse than that. And it's. Now, don't forget I told you it was 4-track, see? And it Stars Fell on Stockton, where we whistled. Now, if you get 4 young lads round one microphone, all facing each other, trying to whistle, can you imagine? Of course, you can't. It's like sucking a lemon in front of a trumpet player. You know, you can't play. So you get 4 blokes trying to purse their lips and looking at each other. That probably took about 195 takes.
You started off obviously doing a lot of vocals. How did the actual how was the decision made to go with an instrumental recording? Because at the time that would have seemed pretty way out and pretty unique, I should have thought.
Well, I did delve into it with Wally Whiten, and I think Hank, long before Drifters, we did a session for the Vipers.
Oh yeah.
Would that have been Summertime Blues on Parlophone?
Yeah, backed with Liverpool Blues. You've got it, yeah. And George Martin was the producer, and we tried some echoed guitars on George. What do you think of this, George? We played some weird things. He said, you know, he said that could go, but he said that's a good idea, but nothing came of it until we were sitting on the coach and Jerry Lawden came out with his £2 10-shilling Woolworths ukulele and says, what do you think of this? And played us Apache. And we said, that's great, because that's how we used to learn the stuff. I've still got demos at home, great big thick, they must be half an inch thick, that Jerry used to send us for me to learn Diamonds and learn Scarlett O'Hara. He's sitting there at the piano going dom 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 dom, and that's how we learnt it.
I mean, they're worth a small fortune now, though.
Well, I know. They must be 25 years old, aren't they?
Can we just, for the record, and your side of it, your break with the Shadows, you know, what happened and why and how, sort of thing. I mean, when you left and you ended up with Jet Harris and Tony Meehan, which was a marvellous association. But you know,
why did I jump out? Well, it's going on all the time now with groups, isn't it? I mean, it was no different then. I was just fed up. I mean, you've been sleeping, eating, travelling together, you know, and all the different characters come out, you know. And I just had enough of the other 3, you know what I mean? And I expect they'd had enough of me. So I thought, I'm getting out of this, and I got out.
Because you were, I mean, to a lot of people, you were the sort of like the James Dean, blonde, sort of lean, good-looking one, which, and, I mean, I used to nuff me off, quite frankly, because I'm like, oh, Jet, how's they had this, you know, Jet, crikey, wish you looked like Jet, and all this sort of thing. I'd like to see him, so. But, I mean, and it seemed to me you had the world at your feet. And Britain's biggest group, Europe's biggest group, in fact, and you were big everywhere except America at that time. And it seemed to me, you know, everything going and leaving such a group.
Yeah, but I mean, all this mean and moody look and all that, I mean, people forget I had a stomach full of ulcers, you know, I wasn't feeling too grand up there. That's where the mean look came from. I was in pain. And, no, it's true, I did have ulcers, honestly. Yeah. And 20 years later, one of them burst. No, a lot more years than that. No, about 20 years later, it burst, one of them. But I was in pain up there. But a lot of people didn't know that.
Now, your association with Tony Meehan. Now, there are 1 or 2 records here which I think surpass things you did with the Shadows. And I may offend 1 or 2 people there, but I think The Man with the Golden Arm, the main title of it, is one of the best British instrumental records that have ever come out. Now, yeah,
my favourite, actually.
Your favourite track?
It is.
Of anything you've ever done?
That's right.
because it's actually a marvellous track. I think what we'll do now is we'll just play that track for our listeners. That was Jet Harris and Tony Meehan and the man with the golden arm. We're talking to Jet Harris, formerly of the Shadows, and we're down in Wolverhampton where Jet's just come off stage.
Something that's always interested me, Jet, is when either a group such as yourself with the Shadows or yourself and Tony, how do you actually get together to get numbers together? I mean, what kind of contribution did each member of the group make? I mean, people usually think of Welch and Marvin as the two writers, etc., but surely it was all of you doing something.
Well, it was. I mean, there's some numbers on these LPs, like 36, 24, 36. That was a joint effort all round, you know. We all put in our 2 penners. But, you know, Hank and Bruce might creep off and write something together, and I'd creep off with Hank and write something, you know. Like, I mean, FBI was a 3-handed job, I think. I'm not sure. Things like Nivram, that was a joint effort.
Which one of all those tunes at the time do you rate as your favourite when you were actually with the Shadows?
What, to play on stage? Which did I like?
Yeah.
Yes, to play, to actually get out there and really enjoy, as they giving it a bit of stick.
I suppose FBI, which I finished with that tonight here. It's quite a heavy number.
Let's move on a little bit to you and Tony Meehan's associationship, because really, I think for a lot of us, it came to a very, sharp ending with that crash you had with Billy, and really there was a lot of very good tracks there. And to a lot of us, suddenly you were off the road for a long, long time, and it seemed a great shame because it's in a good partnership there. I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, he's gone with Tony Meehan now, he's left the Shadows, the chat was, well, that's, he's missed his chance now, he's covering up the Shadows. But of course you proved them all wrong with, Applejack, Diamonds, all these great tracks. Can you tell us how you and Tony got together on these? I mean, obviously, the obvious connection, of course, goes back. But I mean, how did it come about when you decided to get together on this? Well, I mean, and you changed labels. You went over from the old family, the EMI, to the opposition, didn't you?
That's right, Decker.
Yeah.
Well, this is a strange story. I was playing in Ireland. I was over there. My manager came with me, and on the way back on the plane, I said, I've got an idea. I said, why don't I phone up Tony Meehan and ask him if we can do something together? And I'll be blowed if when I landed in London Airport, Tony Meehan was stood there, knew I was going to fly in, and he'd come up with the same idea. And he was stood at the airport waiting for my flight to come in to put the idea to me. And I find that incredible. It was like magic, And of course, that's how it came about. And then he told me he had a number written by Jerry Lorden, which was Diamonds, of course. And it went from there. But I could have really done without that car crash, I mean, that really set me back. I was very ill.
Those days, did you find it very, very difficult actually travelling around? Did you find when you did gigs, were you almost life in danger in gigs with the fans in the early 60s? Well, I mean, was it difficult to get about, or did or could you live a normal life, or was it not?
No way, not with that shock of blonde hair I had. I mean, I couldn't go anywhere. I mean, going to a restaurant was sort of hell. In the end, I used to find a table in the corner and sort of face the corner,
Well, any funny incidents that you can recall where where your presence, or you just turned up somewhere and the least expected and it caused a riot, or any funny yarns of those days of the Shadows or with Tony that you can remember?
Oh, all the time. I mean, if you went to the cinema, the usherettes would see you going in. They'd tell the people up in the control room, and that in the interval they play things like Apache or Diamonds and that. And put the spot. I had one guy put the spot on me when I went to the cinema. I was sitting there, put a spotlight on me. Of course, I had to leave. All these women came up for autographs. It's incredible.
Can we jump from then virtually to now? I mean, people are bound to ask, what is Jet Harris doing now, live, on the road, and also recording-wise?
Well, I was in Spain twice last year and Sweden, and I've been doing these 60 shows. I've just completed an LP of all my old hits, but out of this LP, as we laid some stuff down, I've come out with a new single, which I think I can give you the title, Jacqueline, it's called. And I must add, this is incredible, I've never been recorded before in stereo. This is my first time in stereo. Everything was mono, and it was quite incredible to hear yourself in stereo, you know. It's all new to me. I mean, it's all this 24 and 36 tracks, and the things they can do in there, in the studio. I mean, my first stuff came out on cylinders, you know.
So, we've got the single coming out, we've got an album coming out. Is it Pi that's coming out on?
Yeah, well,
PRT?
PRT now, yeah.
Yeah.
Why can't they leave things alone? Pi sounded much nicer.
Right, and we'll look forward to that. Off the record, I've played one of your favourite tracks before, but going back to your days with the Shadows, you pick a track, because between us we've got most of it. Anything you'd like us to play and dedicate to your Jet?
I was quite fond of old Kon-Tiki.
All right, Jet, thank you for being on the Record Collectors, and here is Kon-Tiki.
Thank you.